template on which to document any discrepancies they may have with the revised provisional voters register. The idea behind this approach is to afford all stakeholders a second opportunity to review their details once again and report discrepancies they may have to the EC to enable us fix it. The re-exhibition of the provisional voters register has never happened before. Indeed, this is the first time, and it demonstrates that this commission is a listening one. It is a commission that is open to receive feedback for the betterment of its stakeholders. And we would like to thank the NDC for, this idea of re-exhibiting the voters register. It also demonstrates that we are a transparent commission and that we work with our stakeholders. We are confident with this approach, and we believe that we will have a near perfect final voters register ahead of the 2024 December elections. Once again, we encourage all voters and registered voters and political parties to take the time and effort to review their details and report any issues they may have with their details before Saturday, the 19th of October, 2024. It is important to note that after Saturday, the 19th of October, the Commission will no longer receive complaints on discrepancies from the general public and from the political parties. However, voters can still continue to check their details online and on the Commission's website at no cost to them. It is free of all charges. The Commission is confident that with this collective approach of working to clean the register, we will have a robust and credible final voters register ahead of the 2024 general election. Permit me to veer to other matters briefly. It is important to note, and I'm sure that you are all aware, that the Commission has provided the political parties and indeed interested stakeholders with 3,975 polling stations, and this includes the special polling stations, which is the total number of registered voters on the revised provisional voters register and added a 2% margin. We are confident that the methodology applied will not result in any shortfalls. We believe that this is adequate. Indeed, whilst we encourage and welcome a total voter turnout, we are also mindful that not every voter will go to the polls come December. Not all the 18 million plus voters on the voters roll will turn up to vote. And as in 2020, when we prepared a totally new voters register for the general election, the turnout was 79%. It was not 100%. Therefore, we are very confident that this methodology of using the total number of registered voters on the provisional voters register, although it is not final, plus a 2% increase, will ensure that we have an adequate supply of ballot papers ahead of the election. Indeed, as a commission, we do not envisage a marked departure from the register the revised provisional register that we'll present to you today. And we are confident that this methodology will ensure that we have more than enough supply of ballot papers come the December 2024 election. I'd like to thank all of you for your time. I think our mission here is very simple. It is to inform all of you that the revised provisional voters register is online. It is also on our website. I know our head of IT will demonstrate how, to check your details. Additionally, as I mentioned earlier, we have provided the soft copies of the voters register on, hard drives for all the political parties, and indeed the independent candidates as well, I believe. And that will be provided before the end of the meeting. We'd like to thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your collaboration. We look forward to a fruitful collaboration over the next 1 week, over the next 5 days. We look forward to receiving your input. We believe that we are all stakeholders in this endeavor and in this enterprise. We stand. Divided we fall. We believe that your cooperation, your collaboration will help to further clean you very much, and may God bless our homeland Ghana, bless all of us, and make our nation Ghana great and strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Since this is an IPAC meeting, I would like to announce the ground rules for this meeting before I cede the podium to Dr. Yao Ufori Ejay to make the presentation. Political gathering. And as you know, IPAC meeting is strictly an engagement between the Electoral Commission and registered political parties. All other bodies, including CSOs, are classified as observers. That does not mean that the Electoral Commission doesn't respect the views of CSOs and other invited entities. Your independent views or comments could be presented to the Electoral Commission in writing or at a meeting at the request of the organization. Each rep of the political party will be allowed between 1 to 4 minutes I'll come back again and rehash the ground rules. After the presentation by Dr. Yao Ufori Ejay of the Provisional Voters Register by the Electoral Commission. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, a big thank you to everyone who has made it here this morning for this presentation on the revised Provisional Voters Register. As Madam Chair said, 2 weeks ago, we were here to deliberate on the Provisional Voters Register. During that meeting, we agreed that we'll be back here exactly 2 weeks from that meeting to show to all stakeholders, including the political parties, voters, TSOs, and everybody interested in our electioneering, that we have gone through the processes that we said we would go through to clean up the register. And rid it of all the issues that had been identified, both by the Electoral Commission itself and also in collaboration with the political parties, the general public, and the civil society organizations. This morning's presentation is a very short one. It's not a very long one. And it's just to highlight some of the things that we have done over the period of time. Over the last 2 weeks, we have gone through a rigorous process of trying to clean up the register. We've gone through several iterations of making sure that at every point in time, there are several eyes looking at the register as has been produced, dotting our I's, crossing the T's, cross-checking, counter-cross-checking, just to make sure that all the issues that we've identified so far have been reasonably resolved. And as previously we've said, we did it at various levels. This time around at the district level, once again, the district officers armed with the district viewer for the register went through the register and looked at all the entries for all the lists that we have, from the valid voters list to the exceptions, multiples, absent, transferred voter list, all the way down to the proxy list, to make sure that it's a true representation of what the will of the people was. Then we went another step further, and we had the regional directors, both the deputies and the regional directors themselves, overseeing the work that had been done at the district level, making sure that indeed the corrections that were supposed to have been made were indeed executed and done exactly the way it's supposed to have been done. Similarly, at the national level, the Commission, through electoral services and its IT staff, also went through that same, had been dealt with and dealt with properly. Last 2 weeks, when we were here, the Commission did mention that we're still in the process of the DRRO implementation. And these are decisions that are taken by the district magistrate with regards to cases that were brought in front of it. The decisions that have been taken by the DRROs have also been implemented at the district level. Once that is done, at the regional level, the regional directors also verify that indeed the decision given by the magistrate are exactly what was implemented at the district level. And then we have a final level where at the national level as well, we will look at all these decisions that have been made. And so in essence, that is how we went, what's the processes that we went through to ensure that we indeed did have a register that is very clean now as we speak, and which all political parties, all for people to check their details on it. As I said, today is not a lengthy presentation. So quickly, voters that we have now is 18,779,987 females, which represents 51.62%, and 9,082,264 males, which constitutes 48.38%. I think that the trend has maintained. We still have more females than males. First-time voters who registered to vote for the first time, and these are people we classify between the ages of 18 and 21, remain 708,280. Those who are on a special voters list are 131,476. Total number of transfers, 332,107. You will notice that I have this highlighted in red because I need to explain a bit further. Because if you go a line below it, you see that the number on the transferred voter list is 311,344. Now, the reason why we have these two metrics is because we realize that a lot more people did more than one transfers during the transfer period. Remember that we had a transfer period, we opened a transfer period twice. And this was especially for those who were in the security services. So they transferred initially, and then after the second transfer period was opened, they did another transfer. All those need to be accounted for. So statistically, all those who transferred are what is reported in red. But in actual fact, those who are on the transferred list, which is what you have in your register, constitute 311,344. So that's why I've highlighted that in red, so that there's a clear explanation in terms of, because you are interested in the total number of people who transferred. But in actual fact, some people transferred several times, and so the number is higher. And indeed, some people transferred and then transferred for special voting. So we need to account for those differences that you would encounter when you look at your voters register. Total number of proxy voters, number 2,142. Number on the exceptions list is 33,000. Represented 2 weeks and now. And this is because DRRO decisions have come into play. And so certain people have been asked to be put on the exceptions list. Last time we were here, we told you that there were some people who, because we couldn't, they didn't have biometrics, we're going to put on the missing voter list. In addition to them were people who had done the offline registration, but because of network challenges, we were not able to transport their biometric details into our register. These category of people, the Commission spent extensive resources to try and identify them. Try as we may, and despite our best efforts, we were not able to bring all of them to have them included onto the register. So that number is what we have on our missing voter list, and it constitutes 1,273 people. This number is about 0.0067% of the total voter population. Having said that, there's still the continuous effort to try and find them and include, Madam Chair said, on election day, a manual verification list will be made available. Exhibition of the revised provisional voter register starts today and will end on the 19th of October, 2024. Within this period, we are urging every individual to try and check their voter details on the register. If you are unable to do, if you find any problem with your registration details, you are encouraged to visit your district election office, EC office, and have the change effected. As Madam Chair said, you have up until the 19th to do this. Afterwards, we cannot make any changes to the register again, and we'll proceed with the register as the final voters register. So the exhibition is being done by electronic media. We have a USSD short code, a prompt that you would enter your voter number in, and then an SMS will be sent to you with your voter details, confirming whether you are a valid voter, whether you are also, if you visit the Electoral, I would do a bit of a demo for you. You are voter ID via the USSD code. but now it is for free. You do not have to pay for it. In addition to that, for the political parties, an external hard drive will be made available to you at the end of this meeting, and that will contain the revised provisional voters register. And we've also given you a list of kindly collect these USB drives for you to check for yourselves and be abreast with what the current provisional voter register is. Political parties. And that feedback will be used to revise the provisional voter register. And so finally, we have a product that we'll use for the election. In accord that a template has been developed by Electoral, template. The template one purposely for this, and it is called PVR issues at ec.gov. You can submit it to the Director of Electoral Services, and it will be used to further refine the voters register. And if there are any errors there that require fixing, it shall be fixed. Number which refers to the number that you want to, like a designated number. So if it's the first case, you label it as 1. The region where you are reporting the issue that you've identified. What is the reason why you are bringing to the Electoral Commission's attention an issue that needs to be resolved? So for instance, if you think that the person has a wrongly spelled name, you can indicate there that the issue identified is a wrongly spelled name. You can give further particulars. Maybe the person's name was Ajay with an A-G-Y-E-I, but in actual fact can also ask that to be done as well. Then you put the name of the voter ID. We can contact you. So your name is important, and we urge you to also add your telephone number there so that it's easy for us to call you if we have to. Then we are interested in your status. Who are you? Which political party do you belong to? What is your status in that political party? And if there are any other remarks, you can put it there as well. So once again, this is for us to get some feedback from you in terms of issues that have been identified by you on the revised provisional voters register that we have supplied to all political parties. And we believe that this will go a very long way for us to be able to resolve some of these issues in a timely manner before the end of the 19th of October 2024. So with that, I bring my short presentation to an end. And yes, you just need to your website. If you go to our interactive features on that says, what would you like to do? And then it's there, check your voter details. So you need to just click on it, and it will ask you to put in your voter ID. Let me put in my voter ID.
Your details have changed. I'm saying all your details down there. They will demonstrate this thing to you before you take it. Because everything there has not changed.
Yes, so it tells you your status on the register. So it says that you're on the register. This is your name, this is your date of birth. This is the polling station where you are, which constituency you vote in, district, the region, and the date that you registered. So in essence, it will bring all your registration details that are there, and that's a confirmation that you're on the register. If you are not on the register, it will tell you that you're on the multiples list or on the exceptions list as well. So it's pretty straightforward, and it allows you to check the voter details or confirm the voter registration details of any voter in the country. So those are the two electronic forms that are currently available. We are looking at in the next week, releasing an app that will be available on the Play Store and on the Apple Store. That's pretty much the same thing, but it's easier to run because it's a built-in app, and it's very user-friendly as well. So these are the means that we have currently available for you to be able to check your voter details. And it will continue, it will be in place up until the end of the year 2024. So with that, like I said, it was a very short presentation. So I bring my presentation to an end.
I think, Dr. Yao, I think whilst you're at it, you need to get your team to provide current details for.
Yes, it's going to be done.
Okay. I think it should be done today. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yao Ufori Ejei, for the presentation. Quickly, I want to rehash what he said regarding the short code for the re-exhibition of the voters register, provisional voters register online. So for short code, the code is *711*51#. Then you follow the prompt by entering your 10-digit voter's ID card number. As I said, 1 to 4 minutes is allowed for each rep of a political party to ask questions, make a comment, or express views on the presentation. Please, if you take the mic to talk, kindly introduce yourself and please be on your feet. We should try as much as possible to avoid repetition of comments parties representatives. On this note, we'll send the mic round. Yes, we have GCPP. Next, PNC, PPP, any other, NDP, APC. Yes, we can take this first 5, then we go to the next round of 5. Please, the microphones are on the table. We start with GCPP. Please introduce yourself and then your party.
Okay, madam. My name is Citizen Atudazi, the General CPP. I recognize, however, I have a few concerns. First of all is one, we do not have the PVR, even though it's been indicated we will have it today. So it for us, in terms of timelines, it makes it difficult for us to be able to also go through it. The other thing is the register. Are we able to give us timelines as to when we will have the certified register? Especially when ballot statistics has been given. And the plan is that on Thursday, printing is starting. And if you look at the ballot statistics, if we know the timeline of when the certified register will be ready, I think that would have been better to look at that instead of using the provisional register as our basis of doing this ballot statistics, which has never happened before. The other is that this online exhibition is good. However, number one, people for money. Number two, others will take advantage in terms of, I mean, in the last time the registration being done at district offices, when the exhibition, it might give undue advantage and also stress for political parties as to facilitate some of these movements, which we saw in the registration at the district offices. So I think we should look at how we can support individuals who have such need. Probably they could also use the maybe email or other forms that can easily be accessible to them. I think for now, I'll pause on this, and then if there are any subsequent ones, I'll come back.
PNC.
Thank you very much. My very good friend, we meet again. Madam Chair, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here today and for you keeping to your words. That in 2 weeks' time from where we have to resolve the issues that were raised here. And you and your team line re-exhibition that has been given to Ghanaians. And it is the first time, as you said in your speech. Did you consider areas where internet is a problematic? Because Dr. Yao, am I right? Ajay, yes, said that we have over 1,000 plus voters that has got mission, and he attributed it to the offline registers, perhaps they couldn't find them. And I think the last time he talked about corrupting of the hard drive or whatever. I strongly want to propose to you and your team to reconsider, because we know whether you have, if you have mapped out certain part of this country where people will have to climb 3 before they can make a call, such an area will have a tough time to be able to use the SMS, the online, to check. So I don't know whether if they will go there, you will give them exhibition stations, not the district, as you said. And most of these remote areas, district offices are very, very far. And I think all of us, many of us, if not, I'm coming from a village, and I know many of us are coming from a village as well. So if the EC can consider this. I'm saying this with reasons because just a few days ago, I was in my hometown. And to even make a mobile money transfer or withdrawal was a problem, because the internet was having a problem. And I'm coming from the Boku area. I said, if the IT director can tell us some of the technical system that they put in place so that no intruder will cause mayhem during this period of using your own gadget to go into the EC system to check your details. If we will not come back here for us to say that we have even lost data, because maybe people might have ways and means to go in. I don't know how technically the EC is well equipped so that if someone wants to enter to the system to do anything bad, you can immediately detect it. The other aspect is, I think the names of over 1,700 plus, all of us are the political parties seated here. I heard the last time and today you repeated that the EC had made some amount of resources to trace them, but they are untraceable. I think these are names, and I'm happy that you said it's part of the data, the hard drive that you'll be sharing today, so that at least we know each people by family names. If the political party, all of us can get back to check the names, and if we also know somebody who found himself in the missing name, then we can draw your attention by your template. But you talk of narration. I don't know whether or this person ABC. So I will appeal that instead of remarks number, so that we don't get confused ourselves. Yes, once again, I'm back the second time. And this 2024 election, I'm serious. It's dear to my heart as a young man at 45 years, becoming the national chairperson of the longest political party, which is the PNC, the first political party in Ghana. That, of course, yes, PNC was registered before MPP and NDC. If you don't know, go and cross-check. And PNC have gone through all the elections, have gone through or appeal to you, your good self, and your team. And today, once again, I am appealing to you that, because I've heard that you sent me a letter that I should present candidates to come for the, the notice of pool printing. And now we are also talking about provisions have been made plus or minus 2% for the provisional register to be printed. So you are quite sure that before the final register, whatever you're going to print, there won't be cause of alarm. My presidential candidate, it is heartwarming. I want to hear a good news from you, even though I'm in court. Yes, I'm in court. But when I get the good news, we will go to court and withdraw. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. Oh, go you. like to do. That's my brother, Jerry. Don't mind him. Okay.
Thank you to PPP. Please.
I have one major concern. And honestly, I feel very anxious and apprehensive about certain actions that the Electoral Commission has taken recently. As we speak, we are all aware that there are ongoing court cases against the Electoral Commission regarding the disqualification of certain presidential aspirants. Despite the pending court rulings, the Electoral Commission had decided not to give a hoot to anyone, to anything, and has proceeded to printing the notices of pool and also plan to print the ballot papers. Our concern is, what measures is the Electoral Commission taking? Because we also know that these actions by the Electoral Commission has the propensity to bring potential financial loss to the state. And should the court ruling overturn or to rule against the Electoral Commission, how are they going to handle this? What contingency plans do they have for us as a political party? We are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we go to NDP? Please kindly mention your name, and if possible, you can stand on your feet so that the media can cover you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished colleagues of the National Democratic Party. The proceedings so far, we feel very much satisfied that of the process of the PVR that had seen challenges from, more particularly, another sister party, that's National Democratic Congress. I must say that this buttresses the fact that the whole process is purely by the CI. If we follow the CI, all the anxiety to the extent of sometimes stirring what I call some dissatisfaction in the public can always be abated. But in spite of that, I would still want to sound the caution to all of us, political parties in particular. So, certainly, as I stand here, I'm equally very, very obsessive with winning. But that should not be used as an excuse to stampede the commission. Is probably to put the commission in a very bad light. And I must also say that we seem to be dictating to the commission actions that are even not outlined in that. The a candidate in this year's election, had to determine to the commission what he terms as political party worthiness. You know, he thinks that out of the 13 political parties that have qualified, you know, at least with their candidates this year, he thinks some other party are more worthy than the political parties that have duly gone through the process and have qualified, you know, outside of the whole process that we know. And we don't think that that goes in line with the rule. So I would want to advise that, yes, it's quite normal to have big dreams, to also be line fringe. It could affect the security and stability of this nation. Lastly, let me commend the commission. We are very much aware that quite recently there have been a lot of international interventions as to about the process that the commission is undertaking to ensure free, fair, and transparent election. The demonstration this morning attests to that. And I think we highly commend the commission for this role. Thank you very much.
Appeal to you. Let's keep our comments and our views on the presentation made today. At this point, I would like to hand over the mic to APC. APC. Please, your name and the party.
My name is Dr. Hap. So we cannot talk here about of the EC. So if you say we should limit it to the conversation here, then there's no need for us to be here. Because we have to discuss issues. And you, as the EC, must be worried about your credibility. And if somebody somewhere talks about your credibility, it is prudent for you to defend it. So if someone is out here talking about it, let's discuss it. It's part of election 2024. Out there, then we should deal with it also here. We have gone through a lot of processes to get here. We filed from maybe I should put the two of them together so that if one is not, the other one will listen. So let's be sincere. Political parties here have gone through a lot of work to qualify. And we have qualified, and if those who have not qualified has a problem, it is not on someone to sit on a different platform and say the EC is discriminatory. For the fact of the matter, I believe, those of you here, in 2016, 13 political parties were disqualified under the same regime. The person who said it was under his regime that we started disqualification party. I was affected. Meanwhile, I feel take the credibility of the EC. I want to advise the EC at all times, please publish the disqualification act of all those who have disqualified. Let them see what the mistakes they have made, so that nobody will come somewhere and be talking anyhow. We cannot sit down with all this credibility and somebody will say that we are not worth it. Then they should mention the party that including the party that, because they are all in the party. And as a matter of fact, Madam Chair, I think that going forward, it doesn't matter who, any party that you think is not properly, has not properly filled the form, publish it. And if possible, send it to the police for investigation and prosecution. This is how it must go, so that people stop rushing to the court and wasting our times. And that must happen in this country. This is a country that we must all believe in. The EC needs to perform. The EC needs to have credibility for us to have a free, fair election and a peaceful election. So if somebody is playing with the credibility of the EC out there, it's already telling us, don't trust the EC. Don't trust the EC, and that is not what we want. I am running my election. I left my campaign to come here. My brother, so don't say that thing again. Then the issue of the biometric, the codes for us to know whether your voter ID card is not there. Madam Chair, most people do not have phones. There are a lot of people who do not have phones in this country, especially smartphones. And there are some coming from the villages. Like my brother Asaki said, Mr. Chairman, 45 years. You know, in those villages, somebody will have a phone, but he doesn't even know the code, what to do to get the name. So illiteracy is high in Ghana. And what are we going to do to correct the issue of illiteracy? Because it's very important. And another issue I want to ask. Anytime we go for election, the Constitution says that a person is deemed to be elected as president when he gets 50 plus 1 of valid vote. 50 plus 1. I've always been wanting to ask you, votes were counted and 10 were spoiled. Are we calculating the 90, 50% of the 90, or are we turning the 90 to 100 and doing that? Because the 10% too was part of the votes, but it's no more valid. So the valid one is 90. Why do we always use the 90 and the 100 instead of the 90? I want an explanation from this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Would like to give the mic to the Commission. Dr. Yao Ojei. If you have any response to some of the questions raised.
Thank you very much. I think the first question was from Citizen Atu. And I think I omitted to mention that the Commission will provide the certified voters register to the political parties in the first week of November. It's important to emphasize, and I think I talked about this in my presentation, and that we do not envisage that the final voters register would be a marked difference from the provisional voters register. As you can see, a lot of effort has been made to ensure that every applicant who registered, whether in 2020, 2023, and 2024, are on there. And so in arriving at the ballot statistics, although we do not have a final voters register, what we have done is to take the total number of valid voters, and we've added 2%, an increment of 2%. We believe that this is adequate to take care of registered voters. We do not envisage, as much as we hope that every registered voter would go to the polls, we do not envisage that this would be so. Even in 2020, when we prepared the election, the turnout was 79%. And so you do not envisage that all the 8, we've added a 2% increment. So we believe that this is a sound methodology, and it will not result in insufficient ballot papers on election day. I think you also raised the issue of I think you talked about the assistance to individuals in areas that don't have network. I believe that Dr. Foriaje would handle that. But with the missing names, it's important to emphasize that they are not missing. They are on the register, and they would be allowed to vote because they have ID cards. The only issue with them is that we do not have their biometrics. Their biometrics was corrupted in the process of transporting their data to our data centers. So they are not missing. I think it's important that we correct that. The number was way above the 1,200 that you discussed the other day. We provided resources. We generated a list of these persons and sent the list to the affected districts. And we provided resources for our officers to call them and to provide them with the funds to cater for their transportation in and out. And so this number has dwindled significantly to the 1,200 that we see. However, like you mentioned, their names are there, and you see their details and their particulars. If you do know them, because we've made the effort to contact them, if you do know them, their ID card details are there. So come election day, go through a manual verification process. Be that as it may, it is we can add their on an Excel sheet later to enable you contact them. But we've done that. We've gone over and above. Over the last 4 months, we've tried to get in touch with them, and several have come through, as I said, and they have been included. So that number has dwindled significantly. I think with the court cases, we have these matters in court, so it is not for us to state so, but it's important to emphasize that there was no discrimination in the selection or the final, list of persons who qualify to be on the ballot. And we've said over and over again, these were provided an opportunity to correct. And that we are the correction be made. We zero in on and give you the particulars. We don't give you the nomination papers and say, go and look for the corrections or go and look for the errors. But we even gave you the details of the errors and gave you the opportunity to correct it. Unfortunately, Some parties were not able to. What we have maintained is that where there's criminality, we do not allow you to correct it. And it's not in our place to point it out to you. Where there are minor errors on the face of it, yes, we point the details out to you and make it very, very easy for you to correct it overnight. And so, there's no unfairness in the decision to do this. 2 committees were established. IT committee handed over to the commission, and that is what we informed the political parties about. So I'd like to mention that there is no discrimination. There is absolutely no discrimination. But for the fact that we were in court, we would have published, and I believe next time, well ahead of the court, this is something we should publish, that these are the reasons for the disqualifications, for the whole, for the public to see that. Currently, because we are in court, we will not be able to do that. But I think that we should ignore the comments of discrimination. A lot of effort was made in. It was a fair and transparent process, and the facts are there for all to see. And I believe that we'll prove this in court as well. With the cost of elections, we are confident because the facts are there. The evidence exists to the fact that those who were disqualified did not fulfill their obligations. I do not believe that the commission should be tied down, or the nation should be tied down to the court cases and wait until the court cases are heard before we move on. We believe that the evidence is clear and that we should be able to present the evidence and defend ourselves in court. We do not envisage at all that there will be a reason to reverse anything, and we do not envisage that any loss to the state would occur. Thank you. I like to state, we recognize that not everybody has a phone. But we do also recognize that everybody has a phone. I mean, I do not believe that every Ghanaian doesn't have an Android phone. Everybody has a phone. I'm yet to see any individual without a basic Android. At least in the community or in the household, somebody will have that Android phone. And for the checking of your details, you do not need a smartphone. I think Dr. Foria J would be able to explain this better than myself, but you do not need a smartphone. But I do believe that in every household in Ghana, somebody at least must have an Android phone. And the good news is that, we are advertising in the local languages. So it's not only in English, but in 7 major dialects. 11 dialects to enable citizens to have an understanding on how to access their data on the website. We mentioned last week that, the ideal situation would have been to print the registers and send them to all the polling stations. That would take some 3 to 4 weeks. And if you look at the timeline to the election, it is not feasible. So we'll continue to advertise in the local languages and call on people. And you are our partners. You are stakeholders. We know your interest in getting people to the registration centers. We know your interest. So let's apply the same interest and the same zeal to ensure that these registered voters are able to check their details. And mind you, even with the exhibition, the physical exhibition, the participation is not that encouraging.
Game set.
Nkawo